أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد سيد المرسلين وخاتم النبيين وحجة رب العالمين المنتجب في الميثاق، المصطفى في الضلال، المطهر من كل آفة، البريء من كل عيب، المؤمل للنجاة، المرتجى للشفاعة، المفوض إليه دين الله. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخته العقيلة عقيلة الطالبين زينب الكبرى، وأخيه أبا الفضل العباس، ورحمة الله وبركاته. من وصية لسيدنا ومولانا أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب عليه أفضل الصلاة والسلام، إلى ولده الإمام الحسن المجتبى كريم أهل البيت عليه السلام، كتبها إليه بحاضرين عند انصرافه من صفين. أما بعد، وجدتك بعضي بل وجدتك كلي، حتى كأن شيئا لو أصابك أصابني، وكأن الموت لو أتاك أتاني، فعناني من أمرك ما يعنيني من أمر نفسي، فكتبت إليك مستظهرا به إن أنا بقيت لك أو فنيت. أمير المؤمنين, the commander of the faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi afdal salati wassalam, after the war of Siffin, in a place by the name of Hadirin, he wrote a wasiyya, a will, to his eldest son, Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba Kareem Ahl al-Bayt. This wasiyya, this letter that he wrote, it's considered to be the second largest letter in the book Nahjul Balagha, after the letter of the Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen to Malik al-Ashtar. This letter is known to be the longest letter in Nahjul Balagha. That's one. The second, it's the first letter that was written in history in relation to morals, conduct, ethics, akhlaq, tarbiyah. The Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen mentions, he points out 130 advice to his beloved son Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. The Imam starts with the introduction of who he is, And the Imam starts with this: من الوالد الفان المقر للزمان المدمر العمر المستسلم للدهر الذام للدنيا الساكن مساكن الموتى والضاعن عنها غدا إلى المولود المؤمل ما لا يدرك or يدرك. So what the Imam here is saying, from a father, he is very close to death. And we are all close to death. And the Imam, of course, Amir al-Mu'mineen, is an Imam of eloquency. Every word of this needs a whole lecture. But we're going to summarize bits and pieces to which the part that we want to discuss tonight and point out to that part tonight. As I mentioned, there are 130 advices from the Imam to his beloved son. The Imam says, this is a father who's about to die. He's very close to death. He wrote this after the war of Siffin. So in the few years of his remainder of the day of the years before his martyrdom, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Then he says, I'm writing this to a son that has what? Has a lot of goals that he wants to achieve. A lot of dreams that he wants to achieve. But that's not going to happen. The Imam here is not pointing out Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba Karim Ahl al-Bayt. The Imam is pointing out the very characteristics of every human being. That we have many dreams we want to achieve, but unfortunately, because of the timing that we have, it's not going to happen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us very limited of time. That is why in this very book from Amir al-Mu'mineen, we have kalimat al-qasar, the words or the sayings of the Imam that are qasar, very short, but the meanings of them needs a whole book. One of them is this: نفس المرء خطاه إلى أجله. Nafas al-mar, meaning the breath of a human being gets him closer. Every breath gets you closer to what? Death. And of course in the ayat in the Holy Book in Quran al-Kareem, we have many of the ayats. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, even a hadith of the Prophet, اذكروا هادم اللذات. The Prophet said to his companions, remember the destroyer of the ladhat, of the desires, of that sweetness of life that many people, they run after it as if it's going to stay for eternity. They said, Ya Rasulullah, the companions, Ya Rasulullah, what is hadimul ladhat? He said, al-maut, al-maut, al-maut. We recite in the Holy Book, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhaakum al-takathur hatta zurtumul maqabir. Go to visit the cemetery. You come to your senses, your priorities change. Alhaakum at-takathur, meaning what? That you compile $1 on top of another dollar, house on top of another house, a car on top of another car, child on top of another child. Al-malu wal-banun zinatul hayat ad-dunya. And this is what we are. We, every day, we compile it. We put one thing on top of the other. Go to the cemetery, look at these people. They had dreams. They thought they would live forever, but death came to them. And of course, the ayah that you all know. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. To the part the Imam comes to this very saying. He said to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, وَجَدْتُكَ بَعْضِي بَلْ وَجَدْتُكَ كُلِّي. I see you part of me, but no, not part of me, but I see you, me, completely, as a father saying to a son. This is the Ghadir of Imam Ali to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. In Ghadir, the Prophet raised the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen and he said, Man kuntu mawlah fahada aliyun mawlah. This is the Ghadir of Imam Ali to Imam al-Hasan. That is why the Imam says, وَجَدْتُكَ بَعْضِي بَلْ وَجَدْتُكَ كُلِّي. And then the Imam said, حَتَّى كَأَنَّ شَيْئًا لَوْ أَصَابَكَ أَصَابَنِي. Anything that comes to you and hits you, strikes you, is as if it has come to me. وَكَأَنَّ الْمَوْتِ لَوْ أَتَاكَ أَتَانِي. And if death comes to you, it's as if it has come to me. From a father to a son. I come to why we're mentioning this. فَعَنَانِ مِنْ أَمْرِكَ مَا يُعْنِينِي مِنْ أَمْرِ نَفْسِي. So whatever happens to you throughout your life is as if it happened to me. The reason we're going through this, we live in a time, an age, a father, a mother, parent, they need a manuscript like this. This is in Nahjul Balagha. Sharif al-Radhi, you can find outside the translated version of it, and you can go through it. Letter 31 of Nahjul Balagha. This is a what? A manuscript, a guideline for every father, for every mother, how to raise their children. And of course, even for the children, for themselves to come and sit down and read this. In a time that we today live in the age of the alphabet community, I refer to them as the alphabet community, but of course, you hear about them, they refer to them as well as the rainbow community or the LGBTQ++++. It's better to call them the alphabet community because every day there is another letter being added to this, and we, unfortunately, some people, they don't understand how dangerous this is. That I take my child to the school from 8, from 9 till 3, 3:30, whatever the timing is. God knows what they teaching this child in the school. They're not teaching our belief. Are they teaching our belief? Are they teaching the sayings of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam? Is it what they're teaching? Definitely not. There is a whole world of movement that they want to normalize that. And it's happening in many countries, for example, in Canada, in United States. In the kindergartens, they teaching the child. A kindergarten student is how old? How old is a kindergarten student? 5? 6? Okay. If you sit down with a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, and you start to explain to them that you're not a female, that you're not a male, not yet, don't decide yet, this is going to happen later, when you're older, you are non-binary, there are 100 pronouns. 100 pronouns? Really? Really? Why there isn't, we have 200 pronouns, why not 300? Why not 1,000 pronouns? Why? Why just stop with 100 and we stop there? Why is it that we have a limit? And this is the issue that we have as a whole community. We haven't come to our senses. Before, we had a knock. Do you hear that? Yeah? We had that knock. When was that? A while back, when they had their same-sex marriage. Knock on the wood. And then we said, oh, this is not good, but it happened. It became legal. Now, this is the other thing. They want to make it a curriculum. And everywhere, when you find a kindergarten student is going through this, what is it that you have to do? What is my responsibilities? And I'll come to that in a minute. Then the Imam goes into the what? Wasiyyah, the will. The Imam talks about this. I'm talking about bits and pieces of it, not the whole thing. We're going to be here until midnight. The Imam said, Amir al-Mu'mineen to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ تَكُنْ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَانْكُرْ الْمُنْكَرْ بِيَدِكَ وَلِسَانِكَ وَبَايِنْ مَنْ فَعَلَهُ بِجُهْدِكَ. Amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy al munkar. Who here hasn't heard of Amr bil ma'ruf, nahy al munkar? You always heard of it, yes? Amr bil ma'ruf, nahy al munkar. Imam al-Hussein, Amr bil ma'ruf, enjoining good, forbidding evil. You all heard of that? The Imam here is saying to his son, وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. But no, the Imam doesn't just say أَمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَانْهَى عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. The Imam says something more than this in here. The Imam says وَأْمُرْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ تَكُنْ مِنْ أَهْلِهِ. That means if you enjoin good, you become one of the people who enjoins good, and you become one of the good doers. Then the Imam says, what? وانكر المنكر بيدك ولسانك. Yad walisan. What's that? Tongue. Yeah? And what is this? Hand. Is the Imam talking about the literal hand or the literal lisan, the tongue? It's more than that. The Imam is talking about what? Action. Not just I utter words. I say things and there is no action. I just come and I throw a couple of ideas here and there and I just get out of the center. We need more schools. What are you doing? We need more programs for the youth. What's your participation? Are you participating? Are you involved in this? Or are you just giving ideas? Because we have this, unfortunately, people, they like to give ideas. I can give you hundreds of ideas until tomorrow morning. But if I'm not there to help, I'm not there to do something, I'm not there to change the community, the society, then what am I? Just coming with ideas? We're not short of ideas. But our priorities is not set right. As a community, and I'm saying that not just your community, all over the Shia community in Australia has a huge problem, big problem. More centers, more Imam Bargas, more Hussainiyat, more mosques. Enough is enough. Enough. We don't need any more Hussainiyat. We don't need any more Islamic centers. Why? Are you against them? Yes, now I'm against them. Why? We have enough. What we need is we need establishment. We need a school that can raise up the new generation. They themselves tomorrow can build other Hussainiyat and mosque. But now if you look around, look to your right, look to your left. Where are the youth? Where are they? You tell me, where are the youth? This is our shortcoming. Don't come and say, why isn't the Marja'iyya doing anything? Why isn't the Maulana, the Sheikh, the Sayyid? No, what? First and first, the Marja'iyya, the Grand Ayatollah, is not my servant or your servant. And they do their parts. The Sheikh, the Sayyid, the Maulana, they do their part. But everyone has also to do their part. They have to also to be part of this. Why does it the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in a hadith, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Why does he say كلكم راع? Why there isn't saying كلكم راع? You know what? Look at the side note or the footnote. The footnote is what? Only the maraja I mean here. Only the Shaykh. Only the Sayyid. No, he said كلكم means everyone. Everyone is ra'. What's a ra'? Ra' is what? A shepherd. What does a shepherd do? He takes a flock of sheep. He takes them to the wadi, it means takes them to the wilderness. And he gets them to eat, to drink. But the shepherd job is this, to keep them safe. And he has a dog with him. And he's always on alert, looking around. The Prophet said, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. What is my responsibility? Is it 1 day or 2 days? Last night in Sydney, in MWA, after the lecture, one of the fathers came to me and he was very worried of what's happening now. And you know, this is universal. It's not just 1 or 2 cities or 1 country or six. It's everywhere. About the alphabet community. And what do? I do this, I do that, I do. I said, brother, it's not just about you doing it 1 day and forgetting the next day. It's a constant thing. It's 24/7. And that is the issue here. Do you feed your children? Do you feed them? Today was what? Tuesday? Did you feed your children? The father's here. Who fed their child? All of you? Why is it that you don't just feed them once a week? Just do it once a week. You can save on money. Just do it once a week. But you do it now, you do it every day. You give them breakfast, you give them lunch, you give them dinner. And in between you give them snacks. Don't give them snack. Don't give them food. Stop all of that. Once a week, on a Saturday, give them 1 meal and that's enough. You say, no, my child is going to starve to death. Why? Why is he going to starve to death? He's in constant need of food because he's moving around, she's moving around. And here we're just referring to 2 genders, male and female. Nothing else. So they're moving around, they are in need of energy and they have to eat. Are they in need of resting? Yes. They have to sleep, they have to drink water, they have to do this, they have to do that. All right, that's okay. All of that is fine. But how many times per week do you take them to the Islamic center? How many times? Once a week for half an hour and we are done. Really? Really? Is this why you think it's going to be enough? In a time and age that Netflix is spending billions of dollars and thousands of hours bringing everyday new trash and they're throwing it to the market for every child to look at. This very phone, I can take it, I can make hundreds of lectures on this. I can make a couple go back to each other to stop a divorce, marry people on this, or I can break a whole community with this. And yet, we have this loaded gun, we give it to our child, and it has YouTube kids and they watch all sort of filth, and I'm thinking, you know what? Once a week I take them to the center and let's see what happens. That's not right. The priorities is not set right. The other side is working 24/7, no rest. And billions of dollars they're throwing into the market just to change that. First and first, everyone needs to know they are responsible. That's why the Imam here says, the Imam here is not specifying just one or two people or one community or another community. Imam saying everyone should do Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy an Munkar. Takun min ahlihi. And then the Imam here says what? وَانْكُرَ الْمُنْكَرْ بِيَدِكَ وَلِسَانِكَ بِيَدِكَ وَلِسَانِكَ. You have to do that. وَبَايَنْ مَنْ فَعَلَهُ بِجُهْدِكَ. See how beautiful. Imam of eloquency. What do you want? Beautiful wording. It says بِجُهْدِكَ means what? أي باعد وجانب الذي يفعل المنكر. And then the Imam said in shada'id. That means in hardship you have to be prepared. That if you think enjoying good and forbidding evil is going to be, a walk in the park, you are delusional. It's going to be a hard task. See the Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayh. We recite in Ziyarat Arbaeen وَبَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ وَحَيْرَةِ الضَّلَالَةِ. Muhja means what? The blood of his heart the Imam gave. Sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now if I read for you the Maqtal, that means the story, the saga of Ashura, of Karbala, you cry, you say, oh yes. But Imam lived it. Imam saw with his own eyes. He saw that the companions, one after the other, are going for the martyrdom, and then his family members, his children, his brothers. The Imam stood there. وَبَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ. Fiqh means in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam al-Sadiq is saying this. Imam al-Sadiq is saying, بَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ Ya Rabb, you. لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ. What's jahala? What does jahala mean? You can answer if you like to. Don't be shy. What's jahala? Ahsantum, ignorance. Now does the Imam specify a time? The Imam says only 61 AH in Karbala, day of Ashura. No. For all time. Now we have come to 1,384 years after the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein, yet you find Karbala. This year they have announced more than 30 million pilgrims are going to Ziyarat Arbaeen. Only the Ziyarat Arbaeen. If you count down the other occasions, if you count Ziyarat Ashura, when they go for Ashura, with Ziyarat Arafah, Sha'ban, it's more than 50 million. The largest gathering in the world. If you put all the World Cups and Olympics and anything else together, they don't come close to what Arbaeen is. وَبَذَلَ مُهْجَتَهُ فِيكَ لِيَسْتَنْقِذَ عِبَادَكَ مِنَ الْجَهَالَةِ. For eternity, until the time of the Imam. And then, وَحَيْرَةِ الضَّلَالَةِ. Dhalala means what? People go astray. They go lighter. So when you come to this, you see all of the Imams, all of the Prophets, they have one message in common. And of course there are others, but here we want to just point out one. And what is that? To bring people out of dhalala, ignorance, from going astray, from darkness into the light. That's the whole task. That's the whole task. And I have to follow their lead. I have to follow their lead. I might say some things, people might get upset, but I'm here just a guest. I'm going to leave on Friday, so I might not come back. So listen carefully, and I'm saying this because I'm part of you, community. And I feel that there are many shortcomings, not just here, everywhere I go to, I see shortcomings. Add another center. Why? Why are we adding another center? Because everyone wants to become their boss, their own boss. Okay, no problem. Add another center. But where are the children? What have you done for the children? For the new generation? Well, we don't have that much of a program. And the elders in the community centers, some of the community centers, they're not here, in other centers. Unfortunately, they hold on to power to the last minute. Their hands can't hold on to anything. They breathe their last breath. That's it. But the power is in the hand. Let the youth take over. Let them move forward. In the back you stand there and you command them. You help them. You support them. But there has to be a change. There has to be a change. If I don't evolve with what's happening, I'm going to be 50 years behind, 100 years behind. And then when I come to my senses, where are the youth? They're all gone. What can we do now? Too late. Too late. Do whatever you want to do now. You can't do anything. There has to be a movement, not just by one person. That's why I mentioned this. كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. You're responsible, you're responsible, you're responsible, you're responsible, and this has to change. People, they themselves, they do this. They have to do this as well. Their finger has to come, point to themselves and say, I'm responsible for this. How can I help? A community has to come to a part that they appoint to a person full time. He has to go after building a school. Not one school. For every 3 centers, this is my belief, for every 3 centers there should be one school. School teaching the curriculum of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. Teaching the sayings of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam. We have come so far behind and we haven't sat down to think, where am I? What am I doing? And that is why the Imam says here, the Imam says, وَانْكُرُ الْمُنْكَرَ بِيَدِكَ وَلِسَانِكَ وَبَايَنْ مَنْ فَعَلَهُ بِجُهْدِكَ. وَبَايَنْ مَنْ فَعَلَهُ بِجُهْدِكَ means what? That go away and go far from those people that do munkar. They do what? Haram. But today, we have come to a part that you have to know all the pronouns. 100 pronouns, mashallah. What do you identify as? You have to ask. In Canada has come to this point that you have to ask the other person, what do you identify as? And they tell you, I'm non-binary, I'm a she, he, I'm a he, them, or whatever they want to call themselves. 100 pronouns? Is this what is happening to us? The West, this is the issue that we have because we live in the West. The West, it's drowning. They themselves, they don't know what to do with this chaotic movement that is happening from the alphabet community, and they're dragging us with them. And some of us, nastajiru billah, God forbid, we don't know what's happening. As I had many encounters with many families, I say, I don't know, let him learn, let my child know. That's why we have some families that their children has come and they said to their father, Dad, I'm not sure if I'm female. Give me time to think about it. There might be a different idea in my mind. And we're talking about Shia community. Muwaleen of Ahlul Bayt. They go and come in these very centers. But we have to come to this point. The Imam Ali afdalus salati wassalam then says, وَجَاهِدْ فِي اللَّهِ حَقَّ جِهَادِهِ. Jihad, if I mention jihad, in an airport, they throw me in a jail and they throw the key away because they think jihad is what? Fighting with a weapon. But here, jihad is what? Jihad, there are 2 jihad. Jihad al-akbar wa jihad al-asghar. Jihad al-akbar is more important than jihad al-asghar. As the companions, when they came back from a war, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said to them, Jazakum Allah khair al-jaza. Whether you have just came back from jihad al-asghar, prepare yourself for jihad al-akbar. Akbar. They said, Ya Rasulullah, look at us, we're bleeding. Some of us are near death. You call this jihad al-asghar, minor jihad? What is the major jihad? The Prophet said, the jihad of the nafs. The jihad of the nafs. Because this war, the ongoing war, is within here. Within here. Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi made it very nicely. He pointed out of what he felt on the day of Ashura, but we feel this every day. He said, أُخَيِّرُ نَفْسِي بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. I see myself on a road, one that takes me to hell, and the other road takes me to paradise. Which one do I choose? Same for us. Same for us. It's not just halal or haram, thinking that I'm not going to eat haram, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do that. No, it's more than this. Now, it's confusing. There are so much fitan that if I'm not educated, I don't know who to hold on to, I fall into the abyss. And even you see people with amama, with this, they come on the manabir, they talk nonsense. And if you're not educated, you fall into the abyss. You don't know what to do. That's why we have a hadith that says in the end of time, آخر الزمان, before the coming of the Imam al-Hujjah, alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, people, they leave their houses what? They leave their houses mu'mineen, they come back kuffar. He leaves the house, mu'min, believer. He comes back, kafir. And vice versa. That is why Imam al-Sadiq said to one of his companions that recite and always have on your tongue this dua. This dua is from the Prophet. They said recite this especially in the time of Akhir al-Zaman, in the major occultation. And that is what? Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Muqallib al-Qulub, Thabbit Qalbi ala Dinik. All the time, the Imam said. You get up in the morning, recite it. You go back to sleep, you recite it. Salah in qunut, recite it. In sujood, recite it. You go to the car, you want to go to work, you want to take your children to school, recite it. All the time. Because you're always in constant need of what? Of mu'adha. That is why. When it comes to this wasiyah, the Imam says, one of what the Imam says to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, أحيي قلبك بالموعظة. Revive this heart of yours with maw'idhah. Maw'idhah is what? Advice. All the time. It's not just one day or second day. Like I mentioned, when it comes to food, every day you need to eat. Every day. Every day you need to rest. Same thing with the heart. The heart is in need of constant what? Revival. That is why the Prophet said to one of the companions, he said, don't sit with the dead. He said, sit with the dead? Who are the dead? In the cemetery, you mean, Ya Rasulullah? I said, no. There are people who are alive in appearance. He talks, he breathes, but his heart is dead. Don't sit with them. The Prophet ﷺ said this. أحيي قلبك بالموعظة, the Imam says to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. Now Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, just a question, does he need any of this maw'idhah? He's infallible Imam. But this very wasiyah, subhanallah, if you look at it, it's as if the Imam has written it for me, for you, especially in this time and age. In Nahjul Balagha. And I have gone through many of these. In Sydney, I have done more than 5 lectures about this, and I wanted to continue, especially for Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. We are in the days of Arbaeen, but when it comes to Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, unfortunately, we Shia, we're not giving the Imam his rights. Once a year we celebrate his birthday on the 15th of Shahr Ramadan Mubarak, and once a year, one day, we commemorate his martyrdom. And Imam al-Hasan is greater than Imam al-Hussein. And Imam al-Hussein himself said that. Imam al-Hussein said, Akhi al-Hasan khayrun minni. We have to give the Imam his dues. Here, this one is beautiful, that you find the connection of a father to his son and the love of the father to his son. Any father here, has any of the fathers here written a letter to their son? You see here, Imam writes a letter. And the Imam says, I know that this letter will find you well, and I might be still alive for a long time with you, but keep this letter to your heart. وجاهد في الله حق جهاده ولا تأخذك في الله لومة لائم وخذ الغمرات للحق حيث كان. This is beautiful. What does the Imam say? وخذ الغمرات للحق حيث كان. That means go into the adventures of haqq, that you want to achieve it, even if it's hard with shada'id, but throw yourself into it. Dive into it. Dive into it. If one person does that, the other person thinks of the same thing. What should I do? And I spoke about this last year. If you remember, on the day of Arbaeen, I spoke about school. Many people here maybe remember. If you don't, go look at the YouTube video. I spoke about this. But unfortunately, nothing has moved. Nothing has progressed. Why? Why? Everyone is saying, why isn't he doing something? Why isn't that person doing something? There was a village. I give you this example. Listen to it carefully. There was a village in olden times. This village was known to be Bukhala. Bukhala means what? Stingy people. The king wanted to show the other villages that the residents in this village are not like this. So he built a big pool and he told the people of the village, the villagers, every one of you, go get me a full skin, the water skin filled with water. Fill it up with water, and I want you tomorrow for everyone to come and pour that water that was into water skin that you filled it up into the pool, and we want to show the world for everyone to come to see that we are filling this water, we're filling this pool of water. So the next day they all came, the other villagers they came, and they said, let's see what these people have done. They are known to be different. Bukhala, stingy people. He said that the king ordered them. He said, start. Do you have your water skins? Water skin, mashka'ab, we call it in Farsi. Is it filled with water? Everyone was looking at the other person. And he said, start. Start pouring in the water into the pool. The first person, he came close next to the pool. He opened the water skin, empty, filled with air. The other person came, empty. The third person, empty. Fourth person, empty. Fifth, empty. He said, stop. Are all of your water skins empty? They said, yes. How come? They answered him like this: I was relying on him. The other one said, I was relying on him. The other one said, I was relying on him. And we all came with empty water skins. And now you have a dried out pool. It's not a pool. It's dried out. There's nothing in it. Same thing with us. Same thing with us. If I'm in need of a school and I point out, he is responsible, she is responsible, hold on to something and go after it. And let me tell you this, not everyone is going to be happy. The one who works, the one who does his hardest job, no one is happy with that person. If you sit at home and you just order people around, everyone says, MashaAllah, this person, look how good and how scholar this person is. But if a person comes into the field and works and does something, he's a man of action, moves things around, changes the community, everyone is against him. Why? Because people, they don't like change. They don't like change. They like everything to be the same. Just keep it as it is. No, it's enough. Enough is enough. Why? The Imam comes to this part and I conclude with that. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The Imam says, وَإِنَّمَا قَلْبُ الْحَدَثِ كَالْأَرْضِ الْخَالِيَةِ مَا أُلْقِيَ فِيهَا مِنْ شَيْءٍ قَبِلَتْ. So much of knowledge in just a couple of words. The Imam says, certainly the heart of a young man is like uncultivated land, empty land. Empty land. Have you seen lands that the farmer wants to come and put in it some seed? Empty first. It's the farmer's job. What does the farmer do? This farmer comes, looks around, that what can I do with this land? What can I put in it? It's the hard work of the farmer. If the farmer comes day and night and puts seed in there and takes care of the land, tomorrow he can harvest something from that land. Something comes up. Now I ask you a question. If he comes and he puts in that land some potatoes, can he tomorrow think that this potato that he put there is going to give him bananas? No. Why? Well, he put potatoes. That's what the Imam is saying here. That whatever you put in this land, you see the result of it tomorrow. Qalbul hadath. The Imam is giving this example of a young man, young lad. He's what? A blank page, blank paper. The father, the mother, the community, his friends, his family members, they take the pen and they come and they scribble in that paper. Because he doesn't know, she doesn't know, they're innocent. You do good, he learns it. You do bad, he learns it. That is why the Prophet said to the companions in this time, SubhanAllah, the ahadith that we have about this time and how the Prophet and the Imams were worried about this time are not one or two, there are hundreds of them. This is one of them. He said that I fear for the children in the end of the time. They said, why, Ya Rasulullah? It's because of the community. He said, no, it's because of the fathers and the mothers. Because they don't do right. They are living their life differently and the child is learning from them. Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari, the narrator of Hadith al-Kisa, was sitting next to the Prophet. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what should we do? What should they do? He said, If'alul khayr. That's it. If'alul khayr. The father, when he gets up for salah time, as soon as the adhan is reciting at home, or he wants to bring his child to the mosque or to the Imam Barga, the child, when he sees the father getting ready for salah, he's performing the wudu, he comes to pray, he follows his father. Same thing for the mothers with the daughters. But if they see that the time of the salah, time of the wajibat, fara'id, the father, the mother, they are occupied with other things, the child learns from the father, he learns from the mother. They asked a person who was disrespectful, where did you learn disrespecting others? He said, I learned it from the disrespectful people. I learned it from my father. He taught me this. I didn't know how to be disrespectful, but I learned it from him. Lying, I had no idea how to lie. He taught me. Gossiping, ghiba, I didn't know how to do it. I learned it from him. Same thing applies with good deeds. That is why if you look at the people going to Ziyarat al-Arbaeen, how many of them they're holding the hands of the children and they're taking them? That is what? Something that will stay on the mind. And they follow this. Tomorrow when the father departs from this world, when he dies, when the mother dies, the child, they continue with this. That is what the Imam is bringing this beautiful example. The Imam is saying here, وَإِنَّمَا قَلْبُ الْحَدَثْ كَالْأَرْضِ الْخَالِيَةِ. Ard al-Khaliya means vacant land. If I have a vacant land, in here in Brisbane, let's say I have a 500 square meter vacant land, it's my choice what to do with the vacant land. I come there, plant some trees, or build a 2-story house. It's my choice, because it's my land. Of course, the zoning plays a big part, yes, with the councils these days, unfortunately, but it's my choice in the end of the day. Same thing with the children. And then the Imam says, مَا أُلْقِيَ فِيهَا مِنْ شَيْءٍ قَبَلَاتٍ. Whatever you throw on it, he will take it in and he will accept that. The Imam says then after that, فَبَادَرْتُكَ بِالْأَدَبِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَقْسُ قَلْبُكَ. That's why I have written this moral, ethical wasiyah well to you. So your heart, before your heart becomes what? Hard. يَقْسُ قَلْبُكَ. Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba يَقْسُ قَلْبُهُ. No. He's saying this to me and you. Before his heart, the child heart is what? Hardened. Before it's too late. And you know, we live in a Western country. It's not your choice or my choice. The fathers, the mothers, you have no control in your hand when he grows up, when she grows up. If he wants to live the house, if they want to pursue nastajiru billah, some other things that are not right. When that happens, the father comes and he cries, the mother cries, and I've seen it many times. My child did this, did that. Where were you before? Where were you before? I was busy paying the mortgage, or I was busy paying the bills. For how many years you want to do that? Take him at least for one ziyarah. At least sit down once a week with him, recite some of the narrations of Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salati wassalam before it's too late. Really, we have come to this point that whatever I say, whatever others say from the ulama, from the scholars, and they're above me, whatever they say, nothing changes because everyone is thinking of something else, materialistic life. Alhaakumul takathur. How can I pay for this house? How can I work here? How can I raise a dollar on top of another dollar? And he doesn't even look to his right, to his left. Where are my children? Where are they? Where did they go? Where did they come? That is why he says a mu'min must first ask himself, why did God created him? From where he came to where he's going. And for what purpose God created him. And there's a hadith there. Same thing applies for your children. They are your responsibility. Tomorrow they have a shortcoming, they have a misfortune, they do this and that. It's your responsibility as a father, as a mother, before it's anyone else's responsibility. But the whole community has to come to their senses. There has to be an earthquake. Earthquake. Someone has to shake it, and shake it so hard that people, they run out and say, what do we do right now? Because I'm way behind. Way behind. Way behind. We have politics in the centers. I'm coming to sensitive issues here. Some centers, because I follow this marja or that marja. What is this? What is this nonsense? When you find a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, they don't know what to do. And the other side is working 24/7. Now they brought it to our children. They brought it to our children. Forget the fathers. Forget the mothers. They come from Pakistan, they come from Iran, they come from Iraq. They come from a background they taught them not to accept this. They were raised in that environment. But go after the children. Go after the children. Because they are what? See? The other side is working on this wasiyah. He says what? وَإِنَّمَا قَلْبُ الْحَدَثْ كَالْأَرْضِ الْخَالِيَةِ. The other side is working on that, not us. It's a vacant land, but I'm not taking care of it. The other one is coming. I don't know if you've seen it. Many areas they have vacant lands. When the vacant land stays there for a long time, other neighbors, what do? When they have a trash, they go and they throw it into the vacant land. Don't they do that? You've seen it many times. If they have a big fridge, they don't know what to do with it, they go throw it there. They have a big rubbish, they go throw it there. And that's what they are doing with us, with our children. Politics plays a big part. What politics? Put the politics aside. We have one goal, and that's to serve the Imam of our time. If tomorrow the Imam comes, or tomorrow I die, how can I stand, and what is my response to the Imam when he asks me, what was your role? What did you do? Well, there were many politics. I couldn't do this and that. Enough is enough with this. We have to come to our senses. And I don't know how much to make it clear, but the Imam here, he said it beautifully. And Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdalus salati wassalam, he followed the footsteps of his brother Imam al-Hassan. He followed the wasiyya, the will of his father Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. That is why Imam al-Hussein came out in a time, everyone said to him, don't do this. His own brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah said, brother, where are you going? Stay in Medina. Stay in Medina. His other brother Umar al-Atraf made fun of him. Umar al-Atraf is his other brother. He said, don't go, they will kill you, stay here. And even if it comes to the point that you pledge your allegiance to Yazid, do it, just to keep this family safe. And if you go look into the Rasail, to the letters of the Imam, to his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, to his brother Umar al-Atraf, to the people of Basra, to the people of Kufa, and even on the day of Ashura, the Imam says what? The Imam says to Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah, I have come out because people, they have forsaken the sunnah of the Prophet. Don't you see that the sunnah, they don't abide to it? And what is haqq, they have forsaken it, and they have taken over the batil, and they doing the batil. And the Imam says, "An-nasu abidu dunya," on the day of Ashura, when not day of Ashura, upon his arrival in Karbala, on the 2nd of Muharram, they arrived in Karbala. The first speech of the Imam was this: "An-nasu abidu dunya wad-dinu la'iqun ala alsinatihim يحوطونه ما حطت معايشهم فإذا محصوا بالبلاء قلل ديانون." This is words from Imam al-Hussein. What does these words mean? An-nas, people, are abid of the dunya. Abid means what? Slaves to this world. An-nas abid al-dunya. وَالدِّينُ لَعِقٌ فِي أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. Deen, religion, is like a chewing gum in their mouths. Chewing gum is from me, just to make it more clearer to you. La'aqun means what? He says a word here, he says a word there, and that's how religion is for him. If religion applies to his lifestyle, everything is fine. Religion accepts his lifestyle. Not that religion has to, no. The religion has to fall in with the lifestyle that he lives. That's fine. We follow that religion. But if it doesn't do that, قَلَّتْ دَيَّانٌ, the Imam says. وَإِذَا مُحِّصُوا بِالْبَلَاءِ قَلَّتْ دَيَّانٌ. As soon as you see religion is against his lifestyle, his ins and goings, his work, his uprising of his children, all of that, he sees that religion is against that. قَلَّتْ دَيَّانٌ. He says, what kind of religion is that? I'm not going to follow this religion. I'm not going to do that. But the Imam says that to what? To his companions. Imam said to Muhammad ibn Hanafiya. Imam says to his brothers, to his I'm coming out لكي آمر بالمعروف وأنهى عن المنكر. And look at what the Imam sacrificed. Look what the Imam did. But it's not just me wearing black, and I conclude with this. It's not just me wearing black. It's not just me sitting and crying. I come to this majalis. It has to be what? Action. Days and Arbaeen is done, finished. After that, what's your plan? What do you want to do? We have to put everything aside until next year. Some people, they do that. They only attend in Muharram and Safar. Other days, they don't see them. Until next year. Fi aman Allah. God, farewell. Fi aman Allah. If a center, if a place doesn't have a whole schedule, not for another year, for the next month, this center has to shut down. They don't know who's going to read, what their achievements will be, what their mission statement is, what they want to do. Some centers are like that. If you ask them, who's reading tomorrow? They say, I have no idea. What are you preparing as food? No idea. We're just going to do it as, see how magic works. And this is what the Imam is telling us, Imam Ali to Imam al-Hasan, and their message is all common, that come to your senses and do something for the community. Change, not just one thing. And we are fortunate, if you look at it, the Shia Islam, Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rada says to Rayyan ibn Shabid, the Shia are those يَفْرَحُونَ لِفَرَحِنَا وَيَحْزَنُونَ لِحُزْنِنَا. And we do that. We celebrate their celebration and we commemorate the commemoration. Throughout the year we have munasabat. So we're not short. This very book of Nahjul Balagha, this very letter of the Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen to Imam al-Hasan al-Mushtaba, it's a whole guideline. The Imam has given it to you and I. And what do I do with that? I have to follow that. I have to follow it. They asked Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi afdhalu salati was salam, which was the hardest on you? Was it Karbala? Was it Kufa? Was it the day of Ashura? The Imam said to his companions, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. 3 times. We have Bakka'in. We have 5 Bakka'in, the ones that cried and cried and cried. In history, we have these people written down as Bakka'in, the ones that cried more than anyone. And we have the 5. One of them is Imam Zain al-Abidin. I mentioned the others, inshallah, another night. Imam Zain al-Abidin is known to be one of the Bakka'in. For how many years did the Imam cry? 34 years. 34 years. Whenever they brought him water, he cried. Whenever they brought him food, he cried. Whenever he saw children, he cried. Whenever he saw his aunties, he cried. One of his companions, by the request of a family member of the Imam, that talked to Imam Zain al-Abidin for him to cry less. He came to the Imam, this companion, he said, Sayyidi wa Mawlai. And this companion was Abu Hamza al-Thamali. Sayyidi wa Mawlai, the crying that you do for 35 years is enough. You should stop. Whatever happened, happened. And you know that death, martyrdom, is very common for you and your family members. The Imam looked at him and he said, O companion, Jazakallah khair al-jaza for what you are saying, because in heart you have the good intention for me. But I ask you this question. When Jacob lost his son, Yusuf, Joseph, he asked the angel of death, did you take my son or is he still alive? He said, no, he's still alive and he's in Egypt and he's actually doing very well for himself. But when he came for Yaqub, he cried and cried and cried, and we have this in Quran al-Kareem that said, وَبِيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ, until his eyes turned white. And his son is still alive and no harm has come to him. And then the Imam looked at this companion and he said, Ya Aba Hamza, how could I not cry when I saw 18 members of my family being cut into pieces? How could I not cry when I saw with my two eyes the body of my father Hussein on the plains of Karbala? And this body had no head. And there were more than 300 wounds on this body. He said, Sayyidi Ulai, how could this be possible, a body taking that many wounds? The Imam said to him, on every stab there was another stab. And the hadith says, تَكَدَّسَتْ عَلَيْهِ السُّيُوفُ وَالرِّمَاحُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ. On the body of Imam al-Hussein there were swords, there were rocks, there were spears, there were arrows. What they done to the body of Imam al-Hussein, they didn't do to any other body. And then the Imam said, you bring me water, I cry. Why do you think I cry when you bring me water? It's because when I see the water, I remember my father Hussein calling out on the day of Ashura, give me at least one drop of water because I'm thirsty. And until his last moment, they didn't give him even a drop of water. You think and you ask, why does he cry when he sees the children? Because whenever I see the children, I see, and I remember these children running from a tent to tent, and they were calling out, Wa Muhammadah, Wa Hasanah, Wa Aliyah, Wa Husaynah. You ask me, why do I cry when I see my aunties? Because whenever I see my aunties, I remember them going from city to city and they were captives and the sun was scorching their faces. And that's why the Imam said, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, and Sham. 7 things happened in Sham. I mention them inshallah tomorrow. One of them is this. He said, I had a sister by the name of Ruqayya. This sister of mine, she was 3 years of age. We were in the Kharab, in this demolished house in Sham. And the people of the Maqtal, the narrators of Maqtal, they say, كانت للحسين عليه السلام طفلة صغيرة يحبها وتحبه وقيل أن اسمها رقية وكانت يتيم الأم والأب. This girl, this 3-year-old daughter of Imam al-Hussein, she was an orphan. She didn't have a father. She didn't have a mother. Lady Zainab, salamullahi alayha, on that night, she put everyone to sleep. All the children, they went to sleep. All the women, they went to sleep. And then Lady Zainab, Aqilatul Talibiyin, she went to the corner of this kharaba to put her head down on the soil to sleep. As soon as she went down to lay down to sleep, she heard the cries of a 3-year-old daughter of Hussein. She said, "Who are you? Who is it that is crying?" She said, "Oh Amma, I am Ruqayya. Oh Ruqayya, go to sleep. Please don't wake up any one of the children or the woman. Please go to sleep. Oh Amma, I can't. What do you want? Are you hungry? Are you thirsty?" She said, "No Amma, no Auntie, no Zainab. I want my father Hussein." She said, "Oh, Ruqayya, your father has gone traveling." She said, "No, Amma, I was asleep. I saw in my dream that my father was embracing me and he was hugging me, kissing me, saying, 'Oh, Ruqayya, come to me, Dad, come to me.'" She said, "I want my father." The cry of Ruqayya woke up all the women and all the children, all of the people in the kharaba. They all woke up and they were all crying. This commotion, these cries reached the castle of Yazid. Yazid was asleep. He woke up. He said, "What's going on? Why are people crying?" They came to him. They said, "Oh Yazid, there is a daughter for Hussein. She's a 3-year-old daughter of Hussein. What does she want? Is she hungry? Is she thirsty?" They said, "No, no, Yazid, she wants her father Hussein." He then ordered here one of the soldiers. He said, "That's no problem. Take the head of Hussein to her." He said they placed the head of Imam al-Hussein in a basin of gold, and what they did was they covered it, and a group of soldiers, they came with candles in their hands. Just imagine this place that is dark. A couple of people, they enter with what? With torches. They enter with candles. Everyone stares at them as who are these people are. They said they came into the kharab. All the children, they started staring at these people, at the soldiers. One of the soldiers cried out. He said, "Who is it that is crying? Who is that 3-year-old daughter of Hussein?" The other children, they pointed out to Ruqayya. This soldier, he came and he placed the basin in front of her. She looked up and she said, "I'm not hungry. I am not thirsty. I don't want food. I don't want water." He pointed out to her, "Take off the cover and you will find what you were looking for. A 3-year-old daughter of Hussein." With her tiny hands, she reached out and she removed the cover. As soon as she did that, she saw the decapitated head of Imam al-Hussein. A 3-year-old of Hussein, Ruqayya, she came and she held the head to her heart. She hugged the head and she called out, "من الذي قتلني على صغر سني؟ من الذي أيتمني على صغر سني?" Who has made me an orphan at this young age? Oh Father, who has covered your face with blood? Oh Father, who has cut down the head of yours? And the Imam says, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, she was calling out, "Father, Father, Father," until she went silent. I looked at my auntie Zainab. I said, "Oh Amma Zainab, take her off from my father's head." She said, "Amma, she is asleep. Let her be." He said, "No Amma, no Amma. She has joined our father Hussein. رحم الله من نادى ورقيته وسيدته وحسينا." لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا على محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. Raise your hands. You know, there are millions of people now going to Karbala, to the shrine of Imam al-Hussein, to reach the shrine on the day of Arbaeen. We are so far away, but every one of us, our hearts are with Imam al-Hussein. Our souls are with Imam al-Hussein. And when you're saying the salam of Imam al-Hussein and that tear is coming down, say the salam with the intention that the Imam chooses you and I to be, insha'Allah, in the shrine very soon, to have the ziyarah of the Imam and his intercession on the day of judgment. Raise your hand loudly together. As-salamu ala al-Hussein وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أخته العقيلة عقيلة الطالبين زينب الكبرى وأخيه أبا الفضل العباس ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا يا رب الحسين. بحق الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بظهور الحجة. اللهم عجل وليك الفرج، اللهم عجل فرجه، سهل مخرجه، اجعلنا من أعوانه وأصحابه يا رب العالمين. اللهم اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا. اللهم امتنا على ولاية أمير المؤمنين والأئمة المعصومين. يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك. خدایا ما را بیامرز، والدین ما را بیامرز، بر محبت محمد آل محمد ما را بمیران، عاقبتهای ما را بخیر بگردان. الفاتحة قبلها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.